It doesn't end! Ugh! Welcome back. To refresh your memory, we have fully rebuilt the front end. Pitman arms, idler arms, Pitman control arms, or idler arm control boxes, upper and lower control arm ball joints. It's actually a complete remanufactured upper control arm with new bushings and ball joints, the whole 9 yards. Redid the bushings in the lower control arms, inner and outer tie rods, and one or two other minute things. So, as I buttoned that all back together, I decided to come back and check the transfer case, because I had a feeling that it might have been a little bit low. Just call me crazy. And I had found it to be 2 and a little bit more quarts short of transfer case fluid. And the front output shaft seal on the transfer case leaks. So, thanks to your lovely beloved Rock Auto, I have my new transfer case seal, and today I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what it takes to change it. This is an NP243 transfer case, which means it is electronically controlled. It is not the super smart kind where it's got the ability to stay in auto 4-wheel drive, and it decides when it wants 4 high and 4 low and when it wants 2 high. But it's the opposite. It is the one that does 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. It's not an NP41, which would mean that it would be manually selectable on the floor, and you would have to, go through the whole rigmarole about that. So it's one step above a 41, one step below a 46. With that said, pardon me, as I get underneath my filthy mess of a truck. And try not to knock my jack stands over and kill myself making this video. I didn't have a puller for the yoke on the output shaft yoke. So what I did was I went and I took a steering wheel puller. I took 2 bolts that matched the threading width and pitch that actually secure in your shaft that goes up to your front drive shaft, as you can maybe possibly see here. There we go. And stuck the steering wheel puller on, and as it so sees, or as it so is, it fits, it works. So I used that to get it off. The bolts that actually hold the shaft in, that hold the U-joint in on the shaft, your bolt heads are going to be 11 millimeters. Go ahead and get those off. Take a pry bar, you'll pop this out, it'll slide forward. It has a channel right here. I'll try and show it to you. There's a channel right there, and that will allow it to pivot it, or not pivot, but piston in and out. And then from there, once you get that out of the way, get your steering wheel puller on there, get your bolts in as deep as you can. These 2 right here and here, and go ahead and just start working it. I couldn't take it off by hand. I tried. You can't get a 3-jaw puller in there, and I was not about to go out and buy I believe it was $120 yoke puller. So instead, I decided to opt for this. This worked great. It comes off smooth as butter. Little 13 or 14 millimeter ratcheting wrench, and it just pulls it off just fine. As a matter of fact, I have to get it all the way off. No pun intended. Word for the wise. Before I take this off, I'll show you all, or at least I'll attempt to. You'll note there's yellow paint on that yoke. What I did was I marked a line on the bolt that I'm currently using this puller to push on as I pull the yoke off. So I marked the yellow line on that bolt, I marked the yellow line on the actual yoke itself, and I marked the yellow line on the area where the U-joint sits in, which I think you can just make out on that bottom right hand corner of the shaft. And what that is for is, as a lot of you probably already know, is when you pull a drive shaft or any kind of output shaft from a transmission or rear end or any kind of differential, the way it's always been explained to me is that they get into a groove with one another, and it creates a harmonic balance between the shaft and the actual gearing. They just work a natural groove over time through rotation. So mark with your lines, as you can see it right there. There's a yellow mark there, yellow mark there, and there's a yellow mark on the shaft that I'm currently pushing against to pull this yoke out. Mark where those are, that way you can put those back in line and you do not affect the harmonics of the shaft rotation. Granted, I understand that the shaft is technically only being used when engaged in four-wheel high and low, but even if you were in four-wheel high, you still don't want any kind of vibration, because you can get up to a decent speed in snow, on the dirt, in the mud, whatever it might be, engaged in four-wheel drive. So just make sure you mark that. That way you're not pissing off your drivetrain and, why the hell is it shaking? It doesn't make any sense. Rah, 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 rah. Well, that would be why. And as you can see, this has come off. Piece of cake. Not bad. There's our splines. They look to be in decent shape. I'll pull this out and actually go take a look at it on the bench real quick. And let's see if we can take a look at our seal. As you can see the leak. The seal looks to be okay, but it's leaking, so if it's not the seal, then it's the, I believe, the bearing behind it, which I am not even screwing with, but we're going to try the cheap fix, a $8 Rock Auto seal, and if that gets it, then we're going to be good. We'll slap it back together, go for an alignment, which is the last thing I need to do besides altering. I'll show you, might as well, while I'm underneath here, pardon me. Excuse me for a moment while I work my way down to show you what else I've got to do left. Whee! Come on, crawler. Crawl, damn it. I think I may be stuck on my own cord. Let's do this. I was stuck on my own cord. There we go. So you can see the MagnaFlow exhaust that I might have, or that you might all be aware of, that I put on the truck. I've got a leak coming from right here, this flange, which in a previous video I mentioned I had to punch this bolt out right here because it was stripped, and I had to run a new bolt with a nut on the other side of the flange to tighten it all up. Well, I've got a leak coming from right here in the corner, so I need to tighten that down. Actually, I'm sorry, I am mistaken. This is where I had to punch it out, in the center bottom. But I've got a leak coming from over here, which either indicates that I am loose on that, or that I may have miffed up a little bit in the process of installing the mid-pipe. But onward, as I grab from my lovely antiquated halogen shop light. You'll take notice that there is one hell of a ghetto fab fucking bracket up there, pardon the language. And that was to get me by while I was driving this around. The hanger that you see it on currently is what was previously holding up the Flowmaster exhaust, which was a piece of shit and rusted out and done for. So with that, when they put that up, they took off the original factory bracket, which is this one that I stole from a junkyard. If I can get the fucker off. Here we go. This is the bracket I needed, so I went to a local scrapyard, pulled that off, cost me like $5. And now we can make this right, so hopefully if this is what's affecting the leak and not the tightness of the bolt, because the angle is different, so therefore it allows it to lean down a little bit and also lets the tailpipe not sit straight, then that $5 fix will be. And if not, well, I guess we're just going to have to tighten her up some more. So stand by, I'm going to go get my seal, and I'm also going to inspect the splines. Not that I think there's a problem with it, but it's always good to take a look at it. So hold tight, I'll do that, we'll get back, and I'll show you how to put it all back together.